California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association. Well, hello everybody. I'm Huell on this absolutely spectacular day here in San Francisco. We're looking out over the San Francisco Bay at the world-famous Golden Gate Bridge. That bridge is a true California icon. Actually, it's a world icon because people come here from all over the world just to see that bridge. Look at its lines and its color and the beauty of it, just the way it fits into the Marin headlands over there. It definitely makes a statement. Now, we're going to be spending the whole day at the Golden Gate Bridge, but there's a catch, because we're not going to be spending the whole day at that Golden Gate Bridge. We're going to another Golden Gate Bridge. And if you're trying to figure all this out, well, as always, you're invited to come along with us on this adventure as we spend the day at another Golden Gate Bridge, which is itself a fine example of California's gold. To get to our location, we got on the Golden Gate Bridge we all know and love and headed over to the Marin Headlands, which are just across the bridge. We then drove down a windy road that gave us a spectacular view of the coast. And it was here our quest for another Golden Gate Bridge began. Okay, our Golden Gate Bridge adventure begins. We are now in the Marin Headlands. That's the Golden Gate Bridge over there everybody knows about, but Rich, we're in search of that other Golden Gate Bridge. Now, to get here, we drove all through the headlands here. We got out of the car and walked down here across this little, is that a little bridge?
That's a little bridge trail coming down in a very steep ravine.
And then right over here is this beautiful coastline here. Explain to everybody exactly where we are right now.
We're in the Marin Headlands. We're at the very tip of what's called Point Bonita. It's the edge of the continent of America, and we're going to be...
Wait a minute. What do you mean the edge of the continent of America?
You can't get any further out than you are right here outside the Golden Gate and still be on the mainland.
This is the westernmost point in the continental United States?
Of this part of California.
Oh, of this part of California.
Yes. And we're going to be showing you quite a spectacular point in just a minute, the light itself.
The light itself for?
Yep. Point Bonita.
Point Bonita. So there's a lighthouse down here.
Yes, there is. A very unusual lighthouse.
Now, this is very interesting because we came down to the end of this trail. There's a hole in the side of the rock there. That's a tunnel, right?
Yes, that's a tunnel that we have to go through to get to the lighthouse.
But the door is locked because it's only open on the weekends for people to come down here and go through here.
We open it on weekends, and occasionally we do a full moon walk at night out here, which is phenomenal.
Now, there's some people that have already gone through there while we were standing here. Who was that?
We do education programs and bring school groups down here to the lighthouse.
So you can hit special dispensation.
Yeah, special school groups.
And these people right here were standing down here. You wanted to hike through here, but the door was closed and you couldn't get in. But because we are with Rich here, and Rich is a VIP, and hold up your keys. He's got the keys to the tunnel right here. So you all are going to come along with us on this thing. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to get in here. Absolutely. So we're now going to walk right down. Is this a historic tunnel? How long has this tunnel been here?
This tunnel was built in the 1850s, and it was hand-hewed with picks and shovels through the rock so they could actually access the point to build the lighthouse.
In the 1850s?
In the 1850s, Huell, and it's amazing construction. Wait till you see it.
This is early California here.
This is one of the first major lighthouses after Alcatraz that was constructed on the West Coast.
Oh my gosh! Look at this! Look at this tunnel! Come on through here. Wow, look at the, wow. They really did. Rich has got to lock this thing back up, so now we're locked in or out, whichever way you want to think about it. Rich, are you getting the lock?
Almost there, Huell.
He's locking things up. Boy, that's a big lock. That lock, is that lock from 1850?
The hasp is. There we go.
All right, good. We're shooting this thing in real time, so we waited on you. Look at this tunnel. This is absolutely, and they hand-picked.
Hand-picked with picks and shovels, and there were historically tracks down where they could roll carts through here for the building materials that were used in the construction of the lighthouse. They look like a miniature railway track.
So this was the only way that they could get out to this point to build this lighthouse.
Not only the lighthouse, they also built the lighthouse keeper's house, and they would also bring all the equipment that was needed to operate the lighthouse, whether it be the oil for the lamp or the coal or anything like that to heat the house.
I thought we were going to come out of the tunnel and suddenly see the lighthouse up.
We're not there yet, Huell. We got a little ways to go, and the view is even getting more spectacular.
Look at this view over here. This is absolutely spectacular. We're paralleling the Golden Gate Bridge. And here's where we're going. Down here, this is the point. I still don't see the lighthouse.
You don't see the lighthouse, Huell. It's hidden around the corner because it's at the very tip of the edge of the entrance to the Golden Gate.
All right, we're almost there. And there it is.
That's right, Huell. That's the Point Bonita Lighthouse, 1853. It's got the Fresnel lens up above, made in France. And you can see some of the support facilities below the lighthouse.
Is that the old lighthouse keeper's house?
Now, the lighthouse keeper's house would have been around the corner. I'll show you that in just a minute. This is where all the mechanics to the lighthouse were kept, in that little building down below.
Boy, this is I can't really see around here, but what you're saying is that that's the westernmost point?
In the whole central part of California where we're at right now.
All right, now wait a minute. You're hedging a minute ago. You said the entire state of California.
No, the central part of California.
All right, this is the westernmost point in the central portion
of California.
Yes. Right, you got to keep these national park people in line here. And these guys are taking notes back here too, Rich. Come on, let's go around here, because this is where it gets really interesting. We've been talking about the lighthouse, but you'll remember the reason we're here is we're in search of another Golden Gate Bridge. And drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Here it is.
Yes, it's a suspension bridge right outside the Golden Gate with an incredible view of the Golden Gate and an incredible drop directly underneath it.
Oh my gosh, look. Now, is this meant to look like the Golden Gate Bridge?
No, this was designed as a suspension bridge. The original one predated even the Golden Gate Bridge. This is about a third-generation bridge that we have here today.
So this was here in this configuration long before the Golden Gate Bridge that we all know and love.
That's correct, Huell.
And when you talk about the Golden Gate, let's clear up a historical point here. The Golden Gate, when you talk about the Golden Gate, you're talking about this opening here in the bay out to the ocean, not the bridge.
That's correct.
But this opening was called the Golden Gate from the very early days.
From the early days, from the 1850s onward, and 14 rivers empty out the Golden Gate. Almost a third of Northern California rivers empty out through the Golden Gate.
So this is called the Golden Gate, that's called the Golden Gate Bridge, and this is called the other Golden Gate Bridge.
The bridge to the Point Bonita Lighthouse, which very, very few people ever see.
Isn't this interesting that the design of it would be so similar?
Suspension bridges, by their very nature, are some of the safest designs to have, and especially in an environment of weather, wind, tidal conditions, and earthquakes. These are some of the best type of bridges you could build.
Boy, look at this bridge right here. Was this built here when the lighthouse was built?
Yeah, the first generation of it was. This is about the third generation bridge.
So there's always been a suspension bridge that looks something like this.
Yeah.
From the very early days.
They did try to put a trail down, but the rock itself was just so fragile, it just kept crumbling away that they had to go to a bridge.
Oh, so you mean they initially walked
yep.
across that rocky area?
You can see a few remnants of it left. The original bridge wasn't nearly this big also.
Oh my gosh.
But this is an area of California that in heavy rains and storms crumbles away sometimes. So for safety reasons, they went to the bridge configuration.
Now this is interesting. We all can't go across this bridge at the same time.
No, for safety reasons, we allow 2 people at a time on the bridge. As soon as we're across, then people behind us can come across. Again,
so Cameron is going to have to stand. Come on, Cameron can get about right here.
A little bit about right here, yeah.
And then we have to walk across this thing, just 2 people at a time.
2 people at a time.
Is this rickety? Is it unsafe?
It's not completely unsafe, but it does need some work. So we just want to ensure.
What do you mean it does need some work?
For visitor safety reasons, we just want to make sure that nobody gets hurt, basically.
Wait a minute. Now I'm beginning to. Is this thing moving?
It does move a little bit in the wind, and you know it's a suspension bridge.
I thought I felt it moving.
Yeah, it's a suspension bridge, so you get a little bit of a sensation.
Oh my gosh! And Cameron, when you come across with the camera, pan out here and look at this too. Just looking up the coast, boy, this really
is this spectacular?
Oh man. Okay, we're at the end of the bridge. Cameron, come on across.
Feel it move?
It is moving. Oh my gosh. This is really something to walk out across this bridge and then look down the coast. This is untamed, undeveloped coastline,
California coastline. If this wasn't set aside as a national park area, you can imagine looking at hundreds of homes along these cliffs.
Oh yeah, the $1 million homes. I mean, this is absolutely spectacular, beautiful, raw California coastline here.
This is part of an international biosphere reserve, which is our park, Golden Gate National Parks, and the Farallon Islands Marine Sanctuary, along with Point Reyes. It's the only world-designated biosphere reserve adjacent to an urban area anyplace.
What does that mean, a biosphere reserve?
It means that the United Nations has declared, because of its complete ecosystem, that it needs to be protected as an entity.
The fish,
the wildlife, the birds, the plants, that it's a complete ecosystem.
Well, the lighthouse itself is impressive, but look at this shot one more time. Just looking, I guess we're looking up the coast, aren't we?
Yes, we're looking north.
We're looking north toward Point Reyes. And boy, you could just stand right here forever and look way off in the distance. Boy, this is pretty. So here come 2 more. Give us a wave. These are our guests. And then over here, this is the school group that you were talking about that had, you know, the school groups can come in during the week.
Yeah, we have youth and education groups that come out here a lot of times for curriculum-based education programs on California history and the environment.
And this is the original beautiful lens up here.
Yeah, that's a Fresnel lens. They're made in France, and their beam, just back in the days that they used oil, could go out 2 to 3 miles out into the ocean.
Is this still a working lighthouse?
It's still a working lighthouse. It's operated by the United States Coast Guard, and they've allowed us to give interpretive programs for school groups and public.
All right, we've climbed up to the top, and look at this lens. This is a piece of art, a piece of history. It's also very expensive. This is the original lens. It's been here since 1850.
This is the original lens put in the lighthouse when it was completed in 1853. Originally, there was a rotational light in it, and nowadays it's been modernized. Originally, it would have been oil, and now it's electrical. But this is the original Fresnel lens.
Boy, this is all glass. This was made in France,
Made in France. There's a few of them still on the West Coast. If you go up to the point, up at Point Reyes National Seashore, their lighthouse, their Fresnel lens is so large you can walk inside it.
Oh, Wow, this is so spectacular just to be here this close to this and realize the role that this lighthouse and this lens has played in California history since the early 1850s.
And outside the Golden Gate is an area called the Potato Patch. A lot of ships wrecked along because of the fog at the Golden Gate. These lighthouses and the associated foghorns saved sailors' lives.
So you keep saying the Golden Gate.
Yes.
Not the Golden Gate Bridge, the Golden Gate, that opening there.
Yes.
Because when this, this was built in the 1850s, the Golden Gate Bridge wasn't built until the 1930s.
Exactly. This predates the Golden Gate Bridge by almost a century. This was an important aid of navigation and literally helped direct sailors into the Golden Gate.
Wow. Look at this. I've never been. This is so impressive here. And the way the sun hits it, the way the light comes out from inside, this lens, and if this lens could talk.
Yes, this lens would have a lot of stories on foggy, cold, windy days out here at Point Bonita and all the lives of the sailors that it saved.
Doesn't get any more exciting than this. We've now come outside on this little walkway outside the lighthouse itself for this bird's eye view, and it doesn't get any better than this. There is the new Golden Gate Bridge built in the 1930s to span what has always been called the Golden Gate, where all the water flows out to the Pacific Ocean. And here is the old Golden Gate Bridge.
This is the old Golden Gate Bridge.
Built in the 1850s to give people access to this old lighthouse. Now, you said you were bringing us to the second Golden Gate Bridge. Now, that bridge is not burnt orange like the other one is.
No, it's not Huell, but it is part of the history of the entrance to the Golden Gate. And in some ways, it might even be more significant than the Golden Gate Bridge because of its role in protecting sailors sailing in the Golden Gate for
early
California history for almost a full decade.
Well, it's not orange, it's white, and it's not made out of steel, it's made out of wood, but it has the same look, and it's right here at the Golden Gate. So we did it. And on top of that, we visited this wonderful old lighthouse. It's been here for so many, 160 years almost.
Yeah, from 1853 on, this light has lit sailors' entrance to the Golden Gate.
Wow, what a wonderful experience this has been. The old bridge, the new bridge, the Golden Gate, it's all right here, and it's all very much a part of California's gold. What a day we have had here on San Francisco's Bay. Well, actually, we're not in the bay anymore, are we?
We're on the ocean now.
We're in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, now under normal circumstances, you would think this would be the end of our adventure. I mean, we found exactly what we set out to find. A replica of sorts of the world-famous Golden Gate Bridge. But wait, there's more. Because while doing our research, we actually discovered another replica of the Golden Gate Bridge. This one in Sacramento. And leaving no stone unturned, we are now at the site of that Golden Gate Bridge replica. We're on the campus of Sacramento State University in Sacramento, and look at this. It's the Golden Gate Bridge, or at least a darn good replica of it. And here to tell us about all of this, Ron, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, Huell. My name is Ron Richardson. I'm Associate Vice President here at Sacramento State for Facilities Management.
So this is facilities, and you're managing it. What is this all about? It looks like the Golden Gate Bridge.
It's a replica of the Golden Gate Bridge that was built by a developer back in the 60s. So the bridge was designed as a replica of the Golden Gate, and it's a pedestrian footbridge to connect the community and the university a little better than it was before.
So wait a minute, this was literally designed to look like the Golden Gate Bridge. That was the idea from the very beginning.
That's absolutely right. It's a suspension bridge, but a miniature of the Golden Gate.
It's not the same color,
Well, we have trouble with colors around here, but it's close. Yeah, this is a fantastic community connection point for the university. We have literally hundreds, maybe thousands of students and community members walking and bicycling across the bridge every day. It's about a 600-foot suspension, which at the time, and it was dedicated in January 1967, it was the largest suspension footbridge of its kind.
Wow, look at this out here. Where this is what river is this?
It's a beautiful American river.
So it crosses right over the American River. Students are bicycling on it, walking on it. It's a utilitarian bridge. I mean, this bridge is not just here for the look, it's here for the use.
We get a lot of use out of it. It helps our students in a community university. It's better to have them live close to the campus, and this certainly helps that endeavor.
Traffic's a little light right now.
Well, yeah, but it'll kick up at class change time. We'll get a few hundred students going back and forth on the bridge.
So this bridge gets packed in between classes.
Yes, it does.
What happened? How did they get back and forth before this bridge was built?
Well, there wasn't very many students at that time. The bridge was opened in 1967. The university was founded in 47. So the enrollment has continually gone up. We're at 26,000 students now, but back in the 60s it was closer to 14,000 students. So,
and this was named after?
President Guy West, the founding president of the university.
So this is the Guy West, you call it suspension bridge?
We just call it the bridge.
The bridge.
The Guy West Bridge.
Now we're getting some expert testimony. We have hooked up with your name, sir?
Bill Newman. I'm a professor of engineering emeritus.
Engineering. So now we can find out, is this bridge engineered the same way the Golden Gate Bridge is engineered?
Almost. And that is, you see the drop cables to the suspended deck sections on the Golden Gate. That extends to these outside edges. On this bridge, it's not. This is a traditional truss bridge out to the tower.
Is this a suspension bridge?
Yes, this is a suspension bridge.
Does it look like when you're walking down this thing, how close a Golden Gate experience are we having right now?
Well, the wind doesn't blow much here. And we get the fog, but it's not that.
Yeah, but
but it was intended to look like the Golden Gate, and it was a marketing ploy for the people who developed the land on the far side, because that used to get flooded routinely. And so they wanted housing and offices, and they thought if they got a campus link, they could sell it real well.
And the idea was, if the link looked like the Golden Gate Bridge, that was a home run.
That's exactly right.
See, I think this is one of the hidden wonders of Sacramento, maybe even of the whole state of California.
Well, certainly of Sacramento and the state. That's used a lot by students and faculty and surrounding community members. It connects the university with campus commons, the housing development, and it's a connector to the American River Bike Trail, which is on the east side of the river here.
But I mean, if you just were visiting Sacramento, or if you lived anywhere else and didn't have any business on the campus,
you'd never know it.
You'd never know this was here.
Absolutely.
In some ways, do you think this is almost, I don't want to say wasted, because it's obviously used, but this is a beautiful engineering feat.
It is, and I'm glad you're getting the word out to America.
Well, what do you want people to do? Come down here and walk across the bridge?
I want them to enjoy the beautiful Sacramento and Sacramento State campus.
Yeah, because the campus is beautiful, the bridge is beautiful, and the setting for the bridge is spectacular.
It is. It is. It's the perfect time of year in the autumn.
Has it become, over the years, a landmark, a true landmark?
Oh, sure. It's an icon for the campus, without a doubt. And the, people identify it, and you'll see, Sac State, and then there'll be the bridge, and so that's on a lot of stuff. And so, and people, it's held in high regards and with lots of affirmation. And of course, it provides an important link on the bike trails and a crossover point. So it's, for people who do recreation on this river, it's an important place.
How do the people of San Francisco feel about this?
I doubt if they know it's here.
So there you have it, believe it or not, 2 replicas of our world-famous Golden Gate Bridge. The first one on the campus of Sac State. The other one at Point Bonita Lighthouse in the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Both of these bridges real beauties, and both of them fine examples of California's gold. Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure as we visited California's Golden Gate Bridges. If you'd like to go on this adventure again, share it with family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library. It's available on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.